式なる道大統領。お願いします。Okay, so by special request, we're doing a little review on Bujinkan basics. I don't know if I'd really call them basics, because some of them can take a little work to get right, but rather fundamentals of this art. They're kind of the building blocks on which everything else is based. I mean, normally I stick pretty much with whatever Hatsumi Sensei is emphasizing for the theme of the year, but that can leave beginners kind of out in the cold as far as, well, what's really considered the starting point? Well, I've heard from the Shihan and Hatsumi Sensei in Japan that the Bujinkan is like a river, and it doesn't matter at what point you step into the river, you're going to be in the river, okay? If you stay in it long enough, you're going to get wet, okay? But nonetheless, there are some things that are really considered fundamental to the whole thing, and which, if you look for connections, you may start to see things that come up in some of the other stuff that goes on with the yearly theme training as well. Maybe not done in quite the same way, but you'll see what the roots are and where it comes from. And we're also taping this today. For those of you that are here that want a copy of it, it's probably going to end up being a 2 DVD set, and cheap, because this whole thing isn't about money, okay? So that you can have it as a reference if you're new. And there are a couple good reasons for that. One, it's not going to be on the level of, say, Koburo no Kihon, Soke's tape or video that I think is probably the best visual introduction to the Bujinkan martial arts. But advantages are that this will be all in English, which most of you speak pretty well, and certainly better than my Japanese. And the other thing being that as we go through this, I can also specifically point out what I consider to be some of the really important key points that are usually not brought out on the videos from Quest for the most part, in terms of how to actually move when you're doing this stuff. You'll see the technique, but there's a lot of things you'll miss if you're just looking at the technique. And then along with that, we can get into some of the tactical concepts behind some of this as well. Okay. But the thing that I want to start with in terms of fundamental movement, kind of working from the ground up, is fundamental ukemi. Now, there are basically two categories to that, one being break falls, the other being various forms of rolling. I'm not going to deal today with the break falls, but I'll just say right now our approach is a bit different from judo in that respect. And as for the rolling, that's also extremely important in a lot of ways. Not just in terms of getting thrown to the ground and getting back up and back on your feet, but also in terms of a lot of the things that you may do on the ground, in terms of escaping, using rolls offensively as an attacking technique, as well as things like keeping a low profile while getting from one point to another, which can be useful if, say, somebody's shooting at you or something like that. Okay. So, first of these, Zenpo Kaiten, or forward roll. We're going to actually start on hands and knees here. Okay. And the key thing, if you're doing a roll, is you don't want to come down and just lawn dart the point of your shoulder and your neck into the ground there. Okay, that is really suboptimal. So why don't you guys clear kind of over to the side here, so it'll be a little better for the camera, since this is being preserved for posterity, for whatever that's worth. Okay, here we go. So to avoid that, it's easiest, I think, just to start getting the movement from here, but also to make sure that you're avoiding getting the point in there. You really want to get the pad of the shoulder and the back end of this. So what we're going to do is from here, just take away one point of contact here, and start turning in this way, almost like I'm going to climb under my own arm here. And I want to actually, literally, look up, because that's going to start, that turning of the head is going to start setting and turning the spine in the proper way to get into the roll. Because it's not going to be this kind of thing. So I just went straight forward, kind of along the axis of my spine. You don't want to do that. It's really more of almost a forward corkscrewing kind of motion. And that actually minimizes the point at which your spine is actually going along the ground, which can be helpful if there's stuff there that you don't want to deal with. Okay, so we're in here, we're turning in, looking up. I'm literally turning and looking at the ceiling here. So, okay. Again. So you can start raising this knee at this point. So, all right. Okay, so let's everybody just play with this movement for a couple minutes. Okay. Just from the ground here. Oh, and exhale as you actually go through the roll too, that helps. Don't hold your breath. Okay, next step on this. We're going to do the same kind of roll, but we're going to raise the pucker factor a little bit by coming up a little higher off the ground, okay? And so now we're going to go from here. I no longer have 4 points of contact. All right? I'm going to go, for this exercise, I'm going to go to 3 points on the way down. But just from here, kind of coming out this way, sort of catching myself a little bit. Back into that. Okay. So out. Okay. And notice again how the flat of my shoulder is going on the ground there.
It's always coming out of pretty flat.
Pretty much. Although by the way that you use your spine, you actually can control that, so that I may do that. If I just do it from a purely ballistic and mechanical standpoint. If I'm starting off oriented toward you, for instance, then it does this. Hi, John. Okay. However, it's just by how you use your spine in the midst of it. Okay. Okay, let's play with that. Yes, that was nice. don't know if you got my message, but okay. Now we're going to go even higher, from even higher up. Okay. No, we're not dive rolling, or at least not yet. We probably won't today, in fact. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to step out, and I want to go ahead, I still want to go ahead and get as low to the ground as I can. It's always good if you can start lower, you don't have as far to fall, okay? So it's a whole lot easier, okay? A lot less risky. So I'm going to just step out this way, and I'm going to turn my spine in that same way here, okay? Out to here, okay? Same thing. So that spinal turn that, again, makes it kind of like an elongated forward-moving corkscrew here. Okay. All right. Try it out. If you're just going straight over. You're also starting from higher up than you need to. Just step out here like this, and actually now just kind of tilt your upper body down as far as you can while you're still nice and stable. And then from here, turning in. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing, only a little different. Okay, in the sense that, same idea here, but now I'm going to step out, and instead of going toward this empty space, which is what you might expect, it's what we were doing a minute ago, right? I want to come down as low as I can this way. Okay, now here's the key to this. Structurally, you will get in your own way if you try to just come here. I can't go any further because of the way this is all set up, and that ends up with me having to go up and over doing something like that. Okay, so actually this is where a little work with the hips comes in. So I'm actually coming down inside my knee here, and then from here. All right, give that a shot. Don't forget to breathe. I can tell when you're not doing it. Okay, in terms of applications on this, an example, Robert, what I'd like you to do is, actually let me put my gi jacket on for this real quick, just so you have something to hang on to a little more easily. Okay. And all I want you to do is take me as though you're going to do a throw, coming in here and just getting me in position and holding there. Mm-hmm. Okay. So, whoa, yeah, there we go. All that I did was right at the point where he was balanced and ready to do the throw. Right there again. Sorry. I'm okay. Is I just I just let myself relax and did this. Okay? So that's one example of how this rolling movement can be applied in other contexts. I wasn't really doing a roll per se, but you can see what happens with that. Okay? And obviously, of course, if I just wanted to escape, he's punching at me or something, you know, oh, whoa! Go back and get out of there, right? Or, I'll go slower this time. Turn it into an attack, okay? Or he knocks me down or something, like, I want to just get away, right? Or if there's, again, he knocks me down, and I realize that there's something I can get to. Okay, well, just some fundamental application ideas. Okay, well next, let's shift over to the Yoko Kaiten. It's a side roll. And it's fundamentally the same. Okay, except that instead of corkscrewing in this way, you're actually going to go out to the side here. Okay? And, well, let's see. We could start it on all fours again, but it's going to be too much the same. We can start from here. Yeah, let's start from here. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to let myself go out this way. Okay. So I'm looking that way. And again, it's going across the padded area of the shoulders here. So I'm like looking at Russell here, okay? But I'm moving out here. Oh, notice what I'm doing with my leg too, my knee. So that I move within this space here. Otherwise, I'm blocking myself here, and again, I've got to do this up and over thing. Okay, so here. All right, give that a shot. By the way, it actually will help in this process if as you're rolling, I mean, from a beginning standpoint, it'll really help you if as you're rolling, you notice I was looking like at Russell here, then rolling sideways. If you'll just pick a spot on the wall or a person that's stationary or whatever, and just keep your eyes on it throughout the roll. Okay? All right, a couple more times. You lost me. Right in the middle of the roll. You also weren't breathing. You also weren't breathing. There we go. That's getting there. Okay, let's take the same thing again. Same thing, only now we're starting from standing. So again, I want to let myself drift out here. Remember, I'm going at 90 degrees to the direction I'm looking in, okay? So I'm going to drift out, but instead of trying to go from here, it's fine if you want to do a cartwheel or something, but that's not what I'm about here, okay? Shifting out, but again, you want to set the knee and the hip so that you have space to get down there so that you can go through here. Okay? That lets you get lower to the ground before you actually start. Okay? Try it like that. Okay, now in terms of what I was stressing regarding, continuing to look at an object, no, you don't necessarily always want to do that. Okay, but it's a good way to start learning because it helps keep you just kind of your whole body rotating around a central point of gravity as you go. Okay, but it can also be useful in other ways too. For example, let's say, Russell, let's go like here. Okay, let's say Russell's coming at me to cut me down. I get out of the way, right? And then from here, I go into a side roll to escape. I want you to watch where my head is going. If all I'm thinking about is the escape, I don't know where he is or what he's getting ready to do to me, because he's probably turning to watch and see where I'm going. Okay, this time do that. Okay, so I'm like here and then, whoa. Okay, but he can just follow me and cut me down. I come up, I'm looking away from him. There we are. Okay, but now watch. Okay, again, we're here, he comes in with that. Whoop. Now as I roll this time, again, just watch my orientation on him as I go by. So I haven't stopped looking at him.
Okay, you see him?
Yeah.
Over here.
Okay, real important. Not just from the standpoint of learning to do the fundamentals well, but in terms of the tactic of staying alive after you've done it to save yourself from the immediate threat, because it's not over yet. Okay. All right. Let's move on to we'll make it an Ushiro Nagare. Not Nagare, but Kaiten rather. So you're still rolling across the pad of the shoulders here. Okay. So, you know, 3 basic directions: forward, side, back. Obviously, you can pick angles in between those two. Okay. But let's say that maybe I have something coming at me that I want to avoid. I'm dropping way back here, right? And then continuing with that. Okay. Again. So just so, and continuing on down. Again, I want to have this foot out here, not here. Okay. So here, dropping out, and then it goes into the same type roll. It's just the direction. Okay. All right. Again, get yourself down as low as you can first. So here, sinking in, almost dropping down, but then here. All right, play with it. Now, out of the kaiten and into the nagare rolls. And we're only going to deal with a couple, like yoko kaiten and ushiro kaiten. So, or nagare, pardon me. For these, let's see, we can start from this position again, but I think, let's see. Yeah, actually, let's do it this way. Going from here, this is one where you actually go from the hip across the shoulder. Okay. And what I want to do, actually, I'm going to start from a squatting position. Okay. And watch this leg. It's just going, this leg is just going to come here. So I'm basically sitting down. Okay. Just kind of relax and sit down. Not like this. Okay. But rather just let the foot slide here. So that by the time it's fully extended, you're all the way down. You've stayed in touch with the ground or the floor all the way through. This way. So once I get that over there and I'm in this sitting position, again, kind of sitting inside my other knee here, my other leg, then as I go, I'm just kind of bringing this over. You can also, again, help kind of set the spine by kind of watching your foot as it goes over and through the roll. So you're going to end up going along this leg from the right hip to the left shoulder. So from here, this way, just watch the foot, and you come back over this way. So Okay, give it a shot. And again, okay. Change the height again a little bit here. Same thing. I'm just starting from a standing position. Okay. And by the way, this is the reason why I wanted everybody to start just from the squat, because when you do this, it should be, going down, and obviously as you go down, you've got to transfer your weight to 1 foot. But it shouldn't really be obvious. And yet with most people, what I see them want to do is they go and down. And it's kind of telegraphing what you're getting ready to do, So just shift very gradually as you come down here, so that it's like that. Okay. So see how smoothly the whole transition goes? I'm not trying to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, Lordy. Okay. You're going, why would anybody want to do that? Well, they wouldn't, because that's not how you're supposed to do it. Okay. So again, just think smooth flow. Okay. Nagare means flow, by the way. So here. Okay, go ahead. Remember, you still want to go down basically to sitting on your hip before you complete it. It's just that it's one single smooth motion. Don't get down to here and then just try to go. Now, if you're going to the shoulder, it goes from the hip along across the spine and shoulders. Yes, Adam, that is it. Yes. Now there are variations on these where you can, instead of going from like right hip to left shoulder, you can go from right hip to right shoulder and stuff like that too, but we're not going to deal with that today. There's also sort of a reverse variation that we're not going to do, where instead of coming down this way, you end up coming this way with it, over that way. Okay, so it's same kind of up like that. And don't worry, we're not doing that one today. And apart from the obvious avoidance, evasion, escape, and just generally not getting hurt when you go to the ground stuff that comes into this, again, applications-wise, just as one single example, let's say that you're punching at me, right? So I get out of the way and I just moved over here, right? Okay. Well, now from this point, oh. Okay. Just one thing you can do with it. Lots and lots and lots. All right. Okay, let's see. Yoko Kaiten, Ushido Kaiten. This should be easy. This is the same thing, only going backwards. Okay. So it should actually be easier because instead of having to slide down and do this and go this way, all you got to do really is go from here. Okay. By the way, this one is a good one for starting to get the feeling of learning how to change which shoulder you end up going to from the same hip. So just here. It's all by how you let your weight go with the spine. That was right hip to right shoulder. Same thing here. Right hip to left shoulder. Okay. So that's kind of a good starting point for getting that. But again, we're not going to address that today. Just, file it away, look at the video later, start playing with the idea. Okay, but anyway, what we're going to do now is same kind of thing we did with the Yoko Nagare, but again, let this leg shift out to the front. And again, not like this. Okay. You want to stay connected with the ground here the whole way out. Okay. All right, then, again, think of bringing the right foot up across over your left shoulder. That'll set up your spine correctly for the movement to follow. So, okay, go ahead. Alrighty, and then again the obvious next step, okay, starting from a standing position and doing the same thing, not like this, okay, but again smooth. Oops, sorry, I did the other one with the same shoulder. All right, one more time. Here. Okay, go ahead. Okay, let's take a hydration break. And when we come back, we will start on the Sanchin no Kata. Because there's, in terms of the standing type stuff, as well as a lot of other things, there's a whole lot that's in the Kihon Happo and in just about everything else in the Bujinkan that really starts with the kinds of movement that are in the Sanchin. So again, very important. Okay? Sanchin no Kata. Now, these come primarily from Gyoko, well, the Sanchin no Kata do come from Gyokoryu, which is kind of the foundation art of the Bujinkan. It's considered to be not necessarily the oldest martial arts system in Japan, but the oldest type of martial arts system in Japan, called Koshijutsu. And what the Sanshin no Kata are about, they teach a number of things. They teach fundamental evasions and blocking, for want of a better word, as well as fundamental striking. But that's only on the most superficial level. What it really is about, again, this is my personal opinion, what it really is about is to teach you proper principles of movement in terms of weight shifting, what's going on with your balance, your structural alignment, proper sequencing of various muscle groups during the movement, and how to generate power properly with all that. Okay. And the way that they were originally taught, I mean, they're taught now as a series of 5 fundamental evasive movements with a deflection of some kind, followed by a full step in with whatever strike is being done, or kick in the case of the last one. But when they were being taught originally, the way Hatsumi Sensei received him from Takamatsu, the way he was originally teaching him, it basically was just the 5 strikes. You're just stepping in, doing the strikes. It's only been in, I think, about the last 20 years or so that it started with this whole offline evasion, deflection, then moving in, which I like, because that's the kind of thing that you would probably do in actual application. But these also, like a lot of basic forms in a lot of different arts, are done with fairly large movements. And then when you get into the striking work in the Kihon Happo, what Manaka Sensei referred to when I learned these from him as the karate jutsu of Gyokoryu, it's the same movement, but they're smaller and sharper. Okay, so you'll start seeing how, when we get into the Kihon Happo phase, you'll start seeing how the movement relates. And I'll try to point out how it applies even in the grappling ones as well. Okay, so these are done, they're labeled according to an elemental system: earth, water, fire, wind, void. It's an originally Buddhist system. But in terms of what that actually means nowadays, if some of you learned, not many of you were around back then, but when Stephen Hayes was first teaching, he had this whole thing with associating certain kinds of attitudinal feelings with these, and that's got nothing to do with it. Okay, and as far as I've been able to determine, it never did, because I have talked with people in Japan about this, and all it is to the Japanese nowadays is it's remnants of an old counting system. It's like us saying, instead of the earth, wind, water, fire, void techniques, it's A, B, C, D, E. Yeah. Okay, we relate that to our alphabet, but using it that way, it's got nothing to do with composition or writing or anything like that. It's just a way of counting and keeping track. Okay, so these are also sometimes called the Shoshinsha no Kata. They all start from a posture called Shoshin no Kamae, and that is like this. You know, the weight is back here, and the rear hand is in a Boshiken supported thumb tip striking position, just snugged right into the hip socket here. Okay, with the other hand extended. Now, the alignment on this is important. This probably will not show up that well on the camera, but you know, we have these nice straight lines on the tatami mats here, and I essentially want for this, I want my heels to be on line here. Okay, and alignment is important on all of this. You don't want to, throughout each movement that you do, basically, you want to have the knee and the foot on each leg essentially in the same plane, pointed in the same direction. So in other words, something like this is not good. And especially at the point where you end one of the strikes or something like that. And I see beginners who've come from other systems do this kind of thing all the time. They'll be moving in and they're like, something like this, you know, semi-horse stance kind of thing. And, well, the thing is, from a structural standpoint, when you do that, you're literally splitting your energy, because the force that you're generating wants to follow the alignment of the joints. Okay, and so if you're doing this, Yeah, you can do it. There are times when that may be appropriate, in fact. I'm thinking of some things in like Kukishin spear work where you're coming in at an angle this way, boom, and you got the spear here. There are times where you can do things with that because of how you're trying to shape the space. But just as a basic thing in terms of the structural efficiency, you want everything lined up the same direction here. And in fact, this is not good either. Lower half of my body's not bad, but I'm breaking the alignment on my upper body. Okay, so really, you should be able, I mean, my foot, my knee, my arm and shoulder should all be in the same vertical plane here. All right? Which also means you should be able to draw a straight line from my fingertips through this shoulder back here. Okay? Which is also what your finishing alignment at the end of the strike should be. Okay? So now the first one of these, it's called Chi no Waza, or the earth form, earth technique. You're angling away and deflecting downward, so, all right? From here, you're shifting your weight in. Don't try to just step. Here, starting to shift your weight in. See how the hips work in with that, and the spine? And then you're stepping in. I'm kind of coiling and storing energy as I do this. So then at the end of my movement, this first one is a swinging in 3-fingertip strike. And a point here about the formal version of this versus what I consider a more basic version. The alignment that you actually use in the classic form, really, as you finish, it's really elongated and extended this way. Okay, and I mean that's the actual formal technique, but it's not the way that I like to teach it as a basic. Okay, this is an idea I got many years ago from Jack Hoban, because if you start teaching that way, then as they're doing things, people start tending to lead with their heads when they're doing a technique and leave their face wide open, or get themselves just overbalanced in a forward direction, easy to unbalance you. So better, at least as a basic way of working on this, is to keep essentially the same alignment at the end of the strike, keeping the spine vertical. So here, this way. Okay. So, and an important aspect of this also is the flow concept. This really shouldn't be done as 2 movements. 1, 2, not like that. Okay, but I don't care how slow you do it. In fact, doing it very, very slowly, almost like a slow Tai Chi form, is a really, really good way to train yourself on these. But the idea, it's a continuing flow from the beginning. So I start to shift off here. And back to Shoshin no Kamae from the other side. So here. Okay, so that's the first one. Let's all go ahead and play with it a bit. Okay, just a second. Something else about this. I was talking about kind of coiling as you step. Like I'm almost doing a cross step coming in here. In terms of the sequencing of movement, and you'll see this more when we start getting into the Kihon Happo striking stuff, there's the use of the muscle groups and the sequencing of them is almost a whip-like kind of action. Okay. Kind of like if I'm holding a bullwhip here, the movement may start here, as I'm snapping this whip forward. But the whole whip doesn't just go like that. It's this coiling boom kind of deal. And so it's the same kind of thing with the strikes. So that's why I'm really emphasizing from here this, not just stepping in, hand and foot going together like that, but here, coil, uncoil, and then, because it's what's actually happening with this is the strike is starting with the feet and changing of the structural alignment, going through the hips, then the turning of the spine, then the shoulder coming into it, and then finally the arm. Okay? All right, a couple more times. And the arm should be fairly relaxed on this too, which it'll be more important when we get into the higher deflections and things like Shuto strikes and stuff like this. Think of, as you do this, yeah, your arm ends up in this sort of a position. It's a 3-fingertip strike here, but don't think of trying to do this with your arm. The looser you can keep your arm muscles, the better. In fact, just for the purpose of this exercise for right now, you might actually want to just think of, instead of this hand formation, Boy Scout salute thing, instead of that, just close the fist and think of it as a wrecking ball hanging on the end of a chain from some crane that's going to take a building down. And it just swings with the movement. So here, okay. I mean, this is the same movement, I'm just using a different fist formation. Now we'll get to that with the other. I will borrow that in a while. Okay, a couple more times. Okay, the way that I'm actually, hi Buster, the way I'm actually doing this is, again, just to help get the feeling of the movement a little better, is at the point where I start shifting in, I want you to watch what's going on with this hand. Okay, so we're here, start shifting in, and as I start shifting my weight in here and moving in, let's say that my hand snugged into my hip is right over this intersection of lines here, okay? Well, as I start to shift in, this is exaggerating it, but I'm just leaving it there and moving my body away from it, okay? And then, okay, try it like that a few times. Oops. Yeah, I was talking about the fact that you're kind of thrusting up. Well, he's pointing out, yeah, you're kind of cocking your arm here like you're, uh-huh. Okay, here's another approach to getting the movement. Again, it's not the basic form, but it's a way to kind of get the feeling behind it. Everybody just stand here and just like this, and just do this a few times. Let your hips turn with it too. So I'm just letting the arms swing in both directions. Okay. Yeah, just relax, swing. And then I'm going to step, okay? Step as the arm that's going to strike comes back. Not a big step, but again, that kind of cross step in. So, boom. Okay, again, just from here, just swinging. Okay, it's that same swinging feeling.
Sorry, Neil, this reminds me of those North Korean dances.
Yeah. There we go. I mean, don't even think about this as a strike for now. You're just swinging the arms and just coordinating with the feet. Later we can add chewing gum at the same time. Okay. Just to make it more difficult. Yes. Yeah, you put the foot forward when the hand is back, and then boom. Okay, so now try to catch that same feeling going from here with this again. Shifting, so we're letting this drop back so it can just swing, right? And then, okay. It's the same swinging feeling. All right, just a couple more times, then we'll go to the next one.